INEOS are now focusing their attention towards player exit, something that should have been done a lot sooner. But there is that brutal approach. Hojlund, you're not going to play. We don't care that you love the club. We'll go and look at your offers. Alejandro Garnacho, threaten us all you want, but Chelsea have got to give us 50 million or they can F off. Antony, if you don't start accepting other offers, then you're just going to be stuck here for another 6 months. We're not letting Betis players into another loan. Manchester United working on exits because they know how important that is to fund a potential deal for Baleba. We're going to talk about the latest on Donnarumma. We're going to talk about the latest on Baleba. But first of all, we're going to talk about the latest on, of course, player exits. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a 10-minute news roundup. You might be saying, Alice, why are you wearing sunglasses? I have got a really bad headache this morning, so that is why the sunglasses are on. The head is killing me. No exciting story behind that because like the screens are just annoying my eyes, so it's better when it's darker. You know, everything's in dark mode right now. But yeah, let's continue on into what has been said. Newcastle are among clubs looking at Rasmus Hojlund, including Milan, Borussia Dortmund, and RB Leipzig. Milan have offered us 4 million up front for Hojlund, all of his wages, and a 39 million option to buy. We are apparently happy to consider that. We're just waiting for the green light from Hojlund. Hojlund's now got interest from Dortmund. I think he would do really well in the Bundesliga, Leipzig, and Newcastle United. And considering how transitional Newcastle United play, he could suit Newcastle United's sort of style of play. I think he'd be better going to maybe the Bundesliga, if I was going to be honest. I don't know. But then I feel like if he goes to Newcastle and he's really good, then we know he could do it in the Premier. He could compete with Sesko next year when we're in Europe, and him and Sesko could compete with each other. But I feel like Bundesliga is probably the best place he could go for success. Now, as you know, or I'm sure that you're aware of the fact that Hojlund has not wanted to leave. He said 2 weeks ago in an interview he does not want to leave. He had a good opening to pre-season games, and he's made it clear he did not want to leave Manchester United. However, his stance is starting to change. Ruben Amorim gave him about 12 minutes versus Everton and didn't even bring him off the bench versus Fiorentina, despite Ruben Amorim saying we missed a striker in that game. Luckily, we have a new one coming in, ignoring the fact that Hojlund was on his bench for 90 minutes. It's clear that Manchester United are trying to force him out and tell him we're not going to give you the minutes. Andy Litton, who's a very good and respectable journalist in the Man United space, said he expects some movements on exit soon. Some players who didn't want to go might start to go when they realise they're not going to get minutes. I think he was talking about Hojlund there. Laurie Whitwell on his Talk of the Devil podcast did say on Hojlund, he spoke about it. He said if there was a sale, the United would even accept less than his 45 million book value and all of that as well. And the Hojlund talks are intensifying because Sesko has come in. And Samuel Lotka said that last week's sources close to Hojlund felt that he would leave if Sesko came in. Hojlund is unhappy with United forcing him out. And now Lutkos is suggesting that Hojlund may be open to joining Milan. But we know before that Hojlund was adamant he wanted to stay at Manchester United, adamant he wanted to fight for his place. We now know from Samuel Lutkos and even Ben Jacobs on Sunday saying Hojlund has been directly informed that he will need to leave if he wants to play more this season, and he's now considering his options. Hojlund has pretty much been brutally told by Manchester United, if you want to play football, you need to leave, and Hojlund is now considering that. Going into Garnacho, I had a big rant about this yesterday, so I'm not going to spend too much time talking about Garnacho. I'm kind of fed up of talking about this whole situation, but it is a case of give us 50 million Chelsea and just F off the both of you. You're winding me up. Like, I really can't be bothered. Chelsea step-up talks. Garnacho is getting closer to becoming a Chelsea player, with clubs now in active talks to reach an agreement. Personal terms agreed. So personal terms were agreed. We sort of knew that they wouldn't be an issue, so that's news coming in from Garnacho. Talks are getting closer. So Chelsea are stepping up talks. Talks are getting closer. Chelsea are advancing. I hope that this is true because we know that Chelsea have been interested in Garnacho for ages. So I'm hoping this talks are getting closer. They're now in active talks. I'm hoping we're going to get a nice 45, 50 million bid from Chelsea. I don't want 45, but as an opening bid, they give us 45. We then ask for 50. Second bid, they go put in 50. They get the deal done. I want to see some bids from Chelsea because Garnacho, has just had Romana saying every day for about 3 weeks that Garnacho wants Chelsea and Chelsea want Garnacho. Cool, I don't care. I want an update from Romano that Chelsea have made a bid, that Chelsea are just going to hurry up and pay the 50 million and just F off. But Romano is saying that it's getting closer. I think Man United's stance is clear with Chelsea, 50 million or F off. Garnacho can threaten us all he wants, but he's not going to want to not play in a World Cup year. We all know that. You're not on big wages, Garnacho. Threaten us all you want. Garnacho's getting closer to becoming a Chelsea player, with the clubs now in active talks to reach an agreement. Personal terms agreed. So hopefully it is getting closer, because I'm fed up of hearing every day that Chelsea want Garnacho, but they're only paid 30 million. Hopefully it is getting closer. Hopefully we are getting some advancements there. I did a big rant about this earlier. Let's continue on. Antony. I thought Antony would be done. I thought it'd be sorted right now with how good he was on loan, with how many clubs are interested in him. But Antony only wants Real Betis. He's rejecting clubs that would pay a permanent for him. And Real Betis, even though they made 50 million in sales, they only want him on loan. Man United are demanding that Antony to accept one of the transfer offers he has this week, with the threat of leaving him on the sidelines until January. United do not want Antony to hold out to the end of the window and is pushed to Betis. United are aware of Betis' strategy. So Betis' strategy is wait until deadline day, get Antony to reject anyone where he has no choice but Betis, and Man United have no choice but to accept a loan to Betis because they don't want Antony staying with his salary. That is what it is. Betis, they literally said to Antony, we're going to come for you on deadline day so we can get you on loan, because that way Man United are so desperate, you've rejected everybody else, they'll have no choice but to let you go to Betis on loan. Man United should have done this a month ago. Man United need to tell Betis we ain't mugs. Look, the thing with Garnacho is he can stay whatever, his salary is nothing. We don't want Antony to stay, we don't want Antony to stay and not play. But United need to go to Antony, and if this is what United are doing, and saying you've got to accept one of your offers because we ain't giving you to Betis on loan. We are not doing loan deals. So you had an offer from Antony had an offer from 4 or 5 clubs that aren't Real Betis. He's saying you got to offer one of those, because either you're not going to play for 6 months before a World Cup season, which could massively impact your chance of getting the World Cup, or you've got to hope Betis pay up for you. And if I'm Antony, you can be upset with Man United all you want, but at the end of the day, you went to Betis, you played really well, they made 50, 60 million in sales, decided not to buy you, and said they only want you on loan after all you've done. I think it's disrespectful towards Antony. I don't know why. I know he did really well at Betis, but this blind loyalty to Real Betis to do this and do that, when you did so well for them and they won't pay up for you, I'd say, you know what, I don't know how much you really want me if you're not willing to pay up for me, and other clubs are. I would say I'm going to go and look at other clubs. And he was looking at Saudi. I don't know if that was to push Betis and scare them into bidding up. He obviously wants to go to the World Cup. But United are right. United are now putting pressure on Antony to accept one of his offers. So we could see some advancements on Antony this week, because United are threatening Antony with you just won't play for 6 months. We're not letting you go to Betis unless they do a permanent. We're putting pressure on Antony to accept one of the other clubs, which might all of a sudden prompt Betis into all of a sudden making a bid, which they haven't done all window. Look, I get Betis aren't the richest club in the world. They haven't got loads and loads of money, but they've got enough money to give us 25, 30 million for Antony and get the deal done and over the line. Continuing on into the final bits and bobs. So, United's approach is now tell Antony to accept offers outside of Betis, push for a deal. Chelsea interested in Garnacho. United are demanding full value, or he stays. That's what we need to do. Full value or he stays. Not that we want him to stay, not that he'll play, but we want to sell at the right price. Hojlund's got talks with AC Milan. United now starting to force Hojlund out. Why are Manchester United doing that? Well, that's because they're interested in 2 players, in Donnarumma and Carlos Baleba. Now, in regards to Donnarumma, Laurie Whitwell did say a transfer for Donnarumma is not expected to materialise. A signing could only take place if Onana leaves, and at this current moment in time, this looks unlikely. That's sort of what's been said. It looks unlikely that he will leave Onana unless he goes on loan. I don't think we'll get Donnarumma. I think Donnarumma will go to Chelsea. Unless Onana goes on loan, I don't think we'll be paying 2 big salaries for goalkeepers. Another update that came in was from David Ornstein on Baleba via The Athletic, and said that several Manchester United players had been in contact with Baleba about a transfer to the club, explaining the landscape and ambitions. United are not expected to submit a bid for Baleba unless they believe there's a chance of success. Indirect conversations are ongoing. But he's saying that Baleba obviously is open to United, wants the move, is talking to Manchester United teammates. We won't submit a bid unless we believe it's got a chance of being accepted. So let's see what happens in these next few days for Baleba. Let's see if we do make a bid. Let's see if we do get a bid accepted. Other updates that's completely irrelevant, but Erik ten Hag is looking at bringing Lindelof to Bayer Leverkusen in another story coming in there. But anyway, people, thank you for watching today's video. Please do hit that like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. See you next time. Bye.